want to even know about evaluation? That's probably the first thing that pops into your mouth. Why do I need to know about evaluation? Well, imagine that you are giving your speech at a Toastmasters meeting or somewhere in the real world, and then you're going to get some feedback on that speech. And what do you want to hear? You're giving your speech. What do you want to hear from the person who's giving you feedback? So think about what it is you want to hear. I want to tell you about an experience I had recently when I gave a speech. I've given maybe, I don't know, 300-400 speeches in my life. And many of them have been evaluated. And typically, I get some really good information when I get an evaluation, especially from a seasoned Toastmaster. Some of the things I get from a good evaluation are a little feedback about what I actually did in the speech, what that person took in the speech. I might get some tips about something I could do differently the next time. And then there's a sense of feeling from that evaluator that they'd like to hear another speech from me, or that it was worthwhile, that they had some enjoyment, pleasure, or maybe they learned something from the speech. So that's the makeup of a good evaluation, but not every evaluation is good like that. And my recent experience was that I gave a speech where something bad happened in the middle of the speech. Doesn't even matter what. Emmett brought up a thing that might have happened. You might forget the middle of your speech. Another thing that might happen is that your audience is distracted and they're not really paying attention to your speech. Another bad thing that might happen is that you realize that the speech you're giving has nothing to do with the people you're giving it to. And there you are, just flapping your lips in front of people. Different bad things can happen, but I got my evaluation. I was hearing this evaluation with some trepidation because I wasn't happy with the performance I gave. What I would have liked from that evaluator is some support, some acknowledgement of what had happened in my speech, because it was very obvious what had happened. Instead, what I got was kind of mean, kind of unfortunate. It wasn't in this club, it was in another area. And one of the things that the evaluator said to me, the speech was inappropriate, but didn't say why it was inappropriate. So it was very confusing. I left, after 13 years in Toastmasters, I left that Toastmasters meeting feeling like maybe I really didn't ever want to speak again, that this was it. And I just, took me 2 or 3 days before I got out of my system. So that's what can happen with a certain kind of evaluation. So now I'd like to hear from you, what you would like to hear when you get an evaluation. Mary Jo?
I want to hear something that makes me go on speaking, for sure. And I definitely don't want to hear. I had an experience similar to yours, too, actually. So I want encouragement. So I will come back all fired up to do another speech and to do even better.
Right.
And also when someone does say something that can add value, something I might have improved, I want them to be delicate about that. So not harsh. So again, so I will come back with eagerness to do it again.
Right. Keith, what do you like when you're in an evaluation?
Well, the thing that I consider very valuable about an evaluation is getting a different pair of eyes and ears than my own to react to the speech. And of course, to give a logical explanation as to why they are reacting in that way. I have to say, when I heard your preamble to this about your own experience, an evaluator is one person,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really not necessary to take it too much to heart if something hurts you from that one person who may have some other agenda that you know nothing about.
Sure. Larry?
Yeah, I was thinking about, I hadn't really thought of this before, but what I really want to get out of them is, did that person, did I tell the story that I had in my mind
Mm-hmm.
in a coherent and attractive fashion? Did I, because I have this story in my mind that I'm trying to communicate to that other person or to the audience. So my question is, did it come out in a easy to understand, logical fashion, in a coherent fashion, or was I all over the place? And so I can't, obviously, he can't say, I know what you wanted in your mind and you didn't do it right, but he can, the evaluator can say, well, okay, this is you were telling the story and it came across well. I think I heard everything that you wanted to say, or no, you were jumping around here. You went from this point, then you went back to that point, and you weren't being organized and consistent and concise, so that you told the story well. I mean, did I tell the story well? And that's, I think, what I want to hear from that person.
So just a good analysis of what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people here want to hear praise when after they've done a speech? Is there anyone who doesn't want to hear praise after a speech? Max, you like to hear praise?
I would prefer to hear praise.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little,
Okay.
it's a little more new.
Karen?
I would rather hear honesty than necessarily praise if there was really nothing praiseworthy about the delivery that I gave. But encouragement, I think, is something that's always appropriate, whether you did really, really bad or if you did great. So I think I would prioritize honesty and encouragement over praise.
Okay.
Personally.
All right. Okay. Good. So how many people want to hear some things that they can do better in their speech?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think that was pretty much a unanimous. Both you want to hear praise and you want to hear things you can do better. I have often mentioned the P.I.E method of evaluation, and I think it works really well. In 2 weeks, we're going to be having an opportunity for everyone in the club, everyone who wants to do an evaluation according to Toastmaster's competitive evaluation theory. And I think the best way to do that is the following method. And think of the acronym P.I.E, P-I-E. The first thing you do when you are responding to someone's presentation is you praise. You give some praise. You think of something they did right, even if it was, as Karen said, not praiseworthy at all. You think of something specific that they did right. Do what Larry suggested. Give some analysis, some information about what you took from the speech. Not a reiteration of the speech, but just some kind of information that lets the speaker know that you actually heard that speech, that you heard what they did. And in that, informing them of what they did, inform them or instruct them on a couple of things that they might do better. It's really important how you phrase that, as Mary Jo mentioned, that if you say, that was so totally inappropriate, that's not a very good way to phrase a comment. But what does everyone agree with that? That's not very way. However, you can say, this particular audience is interested in, is over a certain age or under a certain age. This particular audience may not be interested in what you're doing, so, or what you're talking about. So it's good to qualify your audience. You can say something like that. It's good to qualify your audience before you give a speech and think about what it is they want to hear. The third thing, and the way to end every excellent evaluation, is with some form of encouragement. So that's the E in the PI. Encourage the speaker to continue, encourage the speaker to consider possibilities in their speech, encourage the speaker to do more. However seems appropriate in response to the speech, encourage them. End with that encouragement. And if you do, that speaker will leave that speaking engagement feeling like, okay, I got, somebody heard what I had to say, they found something to like about it, they gave me some suggestions of what I could do better, and they encouraged me. That feels good. So in 2 weeks when we have our evaluation meeting, our evaluation contest, think of P.I.E. and if you like apple, if you like cherry, or if you like coconut cream, doesn't matter, think of P.I.E. and you'll do fabulous. Madam Toastmaster.